Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 was every bit the film we expected. Here are two press conferences with Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson discussing the film. Let's begin now with Daniel Radcliffe.
How was she? How do you think you guys did on it?
I think, it was good. It was a very sweet scene. It was funny though, because when I watched the film for the first time, I watched it with a friend of mine, and I said, when the Nick Cave song came on, I went, that is the coolest Harry Potter has ever been. And then she just said, yeah, but that's not. When I started doing my Dad at a Disco dancing. So it was, it's a sweet scene, I think. It was one that David sort of made up on the spot, pretty much. And then Emery's actually quite a good dancer, so it was for me to sort of, muddle through and kind of. But also, Harry shouldn't be a good dancer. He should be kind of crap, which I was. But next year on Broadway, I hope to be I see a large improvement from that.
How to Succeed in Business.
I am, yes.
Are you excited about that?
I'm very
That's
excited.
One of my favorite musicals.
Is it? Okay, well, hopefully I shall be able to honour it. Okay.
Sorry,
No, it is. I mean, it's in terms of the singing, I'm not particularly, too worried. I love singing, and I've been doing it for a long time. But dancing is something that I've never done before taking lessons for this. But I've been doing, generally speaking, I've been doing about 9 hours a week of training, and so I'm kind of, if I screw up, it's not through lack of trying. Well, we start rehearsals in January. I think we open in March. Yeah, but I think we start previewing in February, but then open in March. Yeah. Finch. Yeah. It's bizarre. It came about because when I did Equus, Craig Zaden and Neil Merron, the producers of How to Succeed, came backstage after Equus and they said, "You can sing." I went, "Well, I can sing the Milky Bar theme tune. That's why I had to sing in Equus." And they went, "Oh no, great. Well, we've got to find a musical." And those guys, it's a testament to persistence because they played us the show and we were like, okay, no, I like it. It's good, but I'm not sure, the next thing to do and all that. And then they said, then they sent us a script, and then gradually, just through their persistence, we started falling in love with it. And and now, I can't imagine myself doing any other thing as my first musical. Also, it's never really been played by somebody my age before. I think that makes it quite exciting because it's, there's never really. As I said, it's never really been played at this age, and I think that makes a big difference to the character. Because whereas, if you have a guy in his late 20s, early 30s playing it, you go, okay, he's kind of a manipulative douche, really. But then actually, when you've got somebody of my age playing it, it means that you kind of attribute it to sort of youthful chutzpah, and you don't really question it so much,
Social Network, that was the age.
I saw that film the other day. I just want to just give up acting. Right? It's just they're just incredible. I mean, it's one of the best films. Yeah, but I think because we're growing up as well the whole time, I don't think it didn't seem like too much of a challenge. I mean, it was a challenge. There were challenging moments, but it felt like this was a natural progression to where we got to. I mean, it didn't feel like we were being asked to make a massive leap, but it felt like we were suddenly being allowed to do what we've kind of been ready to do for the last sort of 2 or 3 years in terms of where we've been at in our performances.
Well, you said also pushes some guys.
He does, yeah, and on this film we were very lucky because had we tried to condense the book into one movie, which I think would have been disastrous, a lot of the stuff that would have been cut would have been a lot of the stuff in this film. Probably, all that on the road section would have suffered dramatically, and. For us to have all that time to explore the characters, and what's great about it is it's character exploration, but it's actually really interesting as well. It's not like it never crosses that line into being indulgent because there's always something going on. There's always like you're never more than 5 scenes away from a massive fight or something. So it's sort of
Because you guys you stand on your own in these camping scenes because it's just you three. So was that part of the challenge, just without having all these other people around?
Yeah, I suppose it was really, but it's interesting because we didn't film it in sequence. A lot we never really felt that at the time, I suppose, because we'd filmed like a scene with just two of us for, maybe 2 days, and then we'd be doing a wedding scene with loads of people, or something like that. So it was broken up in such a way that we never really, I don't think we ever really felt too sort of as isolated as the characters did. But yeah, I mean, I think it gives a much more interesting feel to the first film because, we've never seen these characters without Hogwarts and without all these sort of familiar standard characters that you always see around them. So it gave it, I think, a much fresher feel and and made it a bit more interesting.
Yeah. The three of us are from fan sites.
Oh, hello.
And it's the fact that these things exist is a testament to how big this fandom is.
Yeah.
I mean, when I started this thing when I was 12, I've gone all the way through this film with you guys as what happens in the books. What are your thoughts on just the sheer size and scale of it? Like, have you ever Googled yourself?
When I was 14 or 15, I did, and to quote, there's a line in the thick of it, which is one of my favourite programmes, and you'll all have to excuse me because I am about to use a mild swear word now, but they said it's like googling yourself is like opening a door to a room full of people telling you how you are, and so it was sort of it comes from a place of sort of sadomasochistic egomania that kind of you think, okay, I'll write my name in and see what comes up, and then because all you're going on for is to hear nice things about yourself, and all you find are terrible things, generally speaking. And it doesn't matter if there's a list of 20 comments, there could be 19 of them could be fantastic, and the one that's bad just eats you up. So kind of since then I sort of stopped googling myself since that day. But I mean, in terms of the actual scale of Potter, I think it is amazing. I mean, and in a way it's one of the things that keeps me grounded, I think, and sane, is the fact that you have to remember that it's not because of me that people are screaming at the premieres. Anybody who got this part would have had that level of mania sort of surrounding them a few weeks a year, and I think that's very important to remember. It's I just got very, very lucky with the part that sort of I fell into. But in a way, it's a case of, because it becomes such a part of your life and a job in the most positive sense. Like, I love my job, but it is a job, and it's one that because you get up and you do your job and you go to work and you see the crew and you see everyone you know, and you don't really have a sense of how big it is when you're right in the centre. It's sort of a case of not being able to see the wood for the trees, and. But it is an amazing, amazing sort of phenomenon, and something that I don't think will very. I don't think. I just had my name over there, and I was. But then, what was the other thing I was going to say? In terms of the other thing, I think I'd say about the fans and about the, about the sort of the scale of this, is the fact that when you compare, it's interesting because Harry Potter is essentially, even though there are films now, is still at the heart of it is a literary phenomenon. And when you compare the fans of this to something, say, like Star Trek or Star Wars, all of which have that same incredibly devoted fan base, because it starts off as a literary thing, it's kind of inspired a generation of really, really literate, interesting fans, not just sort of geeks who just watch episodes over and over and over, but actually people who have, having been so inspired by the Potter books, have then gone off and expanded their reading into other areas. And kind of, I think that's what's the most remarkable thing about it, is I don't think there are any other kind of fans like Harry Potter who are so interested in everything, not just the thing that is the focus of their fandom. Yes.
Yeah, just mentioned that Harry Potter started off as a books, and you weren't an avid reader before Harry Potter 7. How did you actually get hold of the first Harry Potter book? Was it your parents?
It was my parents, yeah, and they read it to me. I think they read the first two to me when I was 8 or 9. I think because I just didn't read at all then. Something I like to think I've made up for in the years since. But it's. Yeah, I didn't read at all at that time, and I found it boring, and I enjoyed having the book read to me. It was great, you know. My dad did a fantastic Basilisk voice, and when I tried to get Chris Columbus, I said to Chris, "You should really hear my dad's Basilisk voice. That'd be great." And my dad, I think Chris kind of went, "That's great, Dan. Yeah, I think we'll get an actor to do it though." Yeah, no, I mean, but then after they read the second one to me, I think I sort of, you know, then drifted away from Potter and didn't really, you know, read them so much, and then, or at all, and then when I got the part, I kind of thought, oh, I should probably read these.
Do you ever think I would love to be Harry Potter?
No, not particularly. His life sounded like a nightmare. So I kind of was thinking, God, this poor kid. But I think after I got the part, I then went back and read. I read all four. I think only the first four had come out at that point, and I read them all back to back and just became obsessed and would charge around my room. Despite having been filming as him during the day, I would charge around my hotel room in Newcastle where we were filming the scenes where the broom, you know, that shot where it leaps up into my hand. We were doing all that stuff up at Alnwick Castle, and I would be going back to my hotel room at night and like having wand fights with nobody, you know. It's a pity I didn't have a brother. Yeah.
Harry gets to revisit a lot of his past in this one, which I thought was kind of interesting. I think for the viewers or the audience that's going to see this, it's almost kind of a trip down memory lane for us that have watched all of the movies. And I'm wondering for you, like going back to the cupboard and, you know, just being on the drive, just doing all that kind of stuff, and then writing that over again. How was all that for you kind of reliving that and being able to, you know, do it as your age now as opposed to
Yeah, it was strange seeing it all again, seeing those clips. As I recall, there is even more of that in part two. Yeah, it's always odd seeing that stuff, you know. But I think when you see it in the context of the film, it's not so embarrassing. It fits more in with it. So yeah, I mean it is always strange watching yourself, but you know there's a slight moment of pride as well, and you know in that sort of nostalgia and thinking, oh, I did all that, you know. That's well done me, yes.
Yeah, we've seen over the 10 years how you changed. But how haven't you changed? How have you remained the same?
I'm still very hyperactive. I still got sort of quite a lot of energy. I think the one thing that's different is that I have worked out a way in which I can sort of pace that energy more sensibly throughout a day, so I don't just go nuts for 4 hours and then crash and burn. But then I also think, I don't know, what else has stayed the same? I'm probably still as curious now as I was then. I think curiosity is the greatest, probably the greatest thing anybody can have. And I think I'm still quite, you know, respectful of a film set, you know, as I was then, I think. But it was when I was 11, it was out of a sort of awe that I had respect for film sets. Now it's because I'm so involved in them and I realise how wonderful they are to work on, and what a wonderful experience it can be, because it's a very communal experience when you're working with a group of people for, you know, 3 or 4 months on a normal film, and you know anything from 11 to 18 months on a Potter film.